Hey everyone, welcome back to K-Korner, the channel where we dive into the wild world of entitled people and their unbelievable stories. Hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's go. First, I should start this by saying I am homeless. I've been homeless for a few months now, but I'm almost out. I am very lucky. I don't drink or do any drugs. I just got caught in a bad situation. I'm also very lucky. I am better off than most homeless people. I have my hobo camp in the woods. It's a small hobo shack hidden by the trees with a small spot in front of the entrance of the shack, all enclosed by pine trees. I barricaded it using sticks and wood, so there's only one entrance. Even that has some large branches you have to move to get in. With all that said, for the most part, my shelter has kept me safe and warm through the winter. But now the good weather is in, and I have had the pleasure of coming into contact with some interesting people. On the outside of the shelter shack part of my camp, I have a small firebox where I prepare all of my meals. The thing has given me any hot meals. I can't live without it. I was making my breakfast lunch, so I had it all fired up, and I was making a very simple lunch. Canned chili, stag chili, the best, canned chili, and 2 eggs. I was cooking it all in one pot. I was sitting cooking and heard footsteps. I personally believe because of homelessness, I have a nice case of PTSD because footsteps freak me out. My heart starts pounding when someone is close to my camp, so I was on edge. The stomping gets closer, and before I knew it, someone literally walked through the barricade. He pushed his way through, looked around, looked at me, my firebox, and sat down. He had a beer in his hand. At that second, I was too stunned to do anything, like literally in shock, too stunned to move. The guy spoke and said, "Hey buddy, how are you?" The guy was hammered, like drunk, stupid drunk. He said, "Oh hey, what you got there, buddy?" I am still sort of in shock. I said, "My breakfast." He said, "Oh good, serve it up." He wanted my breakfast. I was like, "Dude, what do you want? It's time to go. You barged into my camp. You're drunk. It's my food." Unfortunately, he wasn't just drunk. He was unstable. The guy started shouting nonsense at me. I told him I didn't care. Time to go. Now, this is where it got terrifying for me. The guy lunged and grabbed the pot with my scalding hot chili and eggs. I stood up and had my hand out kind of to cover my face. I figured I was about to get my chili in the face. Nope. The guy looks at me and throws the pot up and over the trees out into the forest. He threw my food, like threw it. You should also know I am a big guy, but by no means am I a tough guy. I haven't been in a fight in my life, and violence goes against my nature. But I grabbed the stick I used to move the coals around my firebox and started screaming, "Get out of here! Go!" Like he was an unwanted animal. I guess I scared him because he took off running, drunk, stumbling. I found my pot. My food was everywhere, unrecoverable. I am really pissed off. I was saving that can of chili. Now I'll have to wait until tomorrow for breakfast lunch. But yeah, that's the kind of crazy you have to deal with on a daily basis when you're homeless. Started working for someone who had courted me. I happened to come work for them for 6 months. Agreed to salary request, company car, the whole nine. Thoroughly looking forward to the job since this was a former client, knew the person quite well, decent sort, etc. Work starts. All is good. I'm learning their trade and craft and providing my input and expertise. Unbeknownst to me at the time, things are tight financially for them. Like, really tight. Nearing the end of the month, get called in, and I'm told I'm not dedicated enough to the job. Like, what the heck? I don't take breaks at all. I'm always early, constantly telling them I'm happy to work overtime, weekends, etc. Would love the OT, but I'm not dedicated enough what? Lots of back and forth, me defending myself, not entirely certain why, and getting seriously pissed because I work like a man possessed. Then hits me with, "We think we should call it quits." Huh? I don't understand. Go over the things I'm learning, stuff I've done. Nope, all that stuff is perfect, more than happy with the input, etc. Anyway, let's get back to work. They drop the entire debacle like a hot potato and I'm left speechless and in a bit of shock. Oh well, brush it off and continue, albeit more aware of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and making sure to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. End of second month is coming. All is looking rosy. Work is going good. We seem busy. I'm constantly busy. No real time to hang around and shoot the breeze, and then boom. Into another meeting, same shit again. Seriously, what the heck? This time, though, get told I'm too expensive and costing them X amount per month to have me there. I go a little overboard and defend my position, stating they sought me out. Not the other way around. I had a decent job before, same package, and although it wasn't ideal, it was paying the bills and I would have stayed there for years otherwise. Now you hit me with this shit. Like, seriously. What the F? And then I get hit with that same bees of we think we should call it quits. Same shit as before, call the meeting to an end swiftly after, when I start saying things like, well, fire me then. To be clear, nothing wrong with work performance. They say as much yet again. Just the overall commitment isn't there. Well, now, that's the second time. The second time you've told me that you want to call it quits. In my head, do that to me again. Tell me you want to call it quits. Just one more time. Third month. Things are not looking as good as month 2. Business is a little quieter. Boss has had flu and been a bear for most of the month. I've tried to stay out of their way on purpose, but making sure not to slack off and making sure I'm constantly busy. All good, I'm thinking. Well, not so fast, Dolcus. End of the month is coming. And wouldn't you know it, I get called in again. For F's sake, man. Can't I catch a goddamn break here? Anyway, play it totally cool and calm. Ask where I'm going wrong, what else should I be doing, etc. Nope, just the overall commitment, keep in mind at this point. My work ethic has not changed. My actual work is top-notch, and there really is nothing to complain about. Although I had been off sick 2 days in the month and something else happened that caused me to be off work, but totally legit, and with the blessing off boss. Help, those are now hell over my head. Off too many days. End the meeting, go home after seeing a doc for my ailment, and return the following day. Call boss for meeting to clarify the main issue as boss still has not explained or told me what they mean by commitment not fully there. Boss states, you don't come into work on weekends or holidays. You could have blown me over with Aragel. What in the actual F? I explained to boss that they stated at the beginning of my employment that we would not be working weekends and holidays. Effing hell. Even my goddamn contract says as much, and that if there is work to be done on weekends and holidays, that there will be time off and payment for it. I also explained that they said they were totally okay with me being off ill and for the other issues. Nope, we should call it quits. Boss pisses off because boss is pissed, upset, throwing a tantrum. I don't know. Need a boss to advise on a particular part of a rather important, rather expensive step in the process of the job I'm currently working on. But nope, I'm ghosted. Stick around for 2 hours because I'd like to finish this shit before I tell boss I'm complying with their request. But nada. Boss isn't answering calls or messages. So I bounce off to home. Remember how I said earlier that the third time would be the last? Well, boss calls a while later. Acts as if there's nothing amiss. What the F? Get into it again over the phone, tell boss I'm taking them up on their offer. What offer? You know, the one where you said to call it quits. No, don't do anything rash. Think about it overnight and we'll talk in the morning. Yeah, right? Well, I thought it over. And I thought I'd much rather not be treated like scum, and I'll take my shit and piss off. You bit off more than you could chew, and now I'm to blame? Get to work next morning, ask boss if they want to talk in private or in general work area. Nope, we can talk in general area. Okay. Well, I've thought about it, and I think it best that I do take you up on your offer. Just pay me out to the end of the month and we're good. If not, well, I have recourse. No, all good, I'll pay you out. Took my crap and pissed right off. Left boss to deal with the rather important, rather expensive, and very time-sensitive job I was busy with. Guaranteed to cost a good few thousand to get an extension if the job isn't lost altogether. Side note, I'm starting up my business again, so it's no biggie to have left the job. It'll be up and running in time to pay bills and such next month. Also, I'm being purposely vague so as to retain a modicum of anonymity. Edit. Boss is screwed. Me leaving means boss has to do all the work themselves. The whole reason I was hired in the first place is because boss couldn't keep up with the workload. We would have been in profit by the end of next month. I was catching up the backlog. Sorry if that I didn't clarify that part. Edit number 2. Thank you very much to every single person who commented below. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support from those who provided it and for the kind words. Also thanks to those who pointed out where I erred as far as the disclaimer goes. I only put it in because I thought it was the done thing as I'd seen it elsewhere before. But I do appreciate your comments. Negative feedback isn't bad, it helps me to grow, and that's my takeaway from it. Just to clarify a few things, Boss is very competent as far as the work goes. Boss was in a tough spot as they were doing all the work themselves and needed someone else to help lighten the load. However, I don't think Boss took into account just how expensive it is to hire someone who has the knowledge and expertise, and also expected that knowledge and expertise to magically transform the influx of money overnight. In all other areas, Boss was fantastic. Very supportive, freely shared knowledge, etc. But because of the cost and not realizing the benefit of having me grow within the business, Boss took those frustrations out on me. Unfair, yes. I would have stayed on and powered through the negativity were it not for the fact that Boss kept repeating that we should call it quits whenever they had to think about paying bills and paying me. I still think the Boss is a fantastic person, and I would love to do work for Boss in the future, but it would be on a contractual basis only. I phoned Boss yesterday and explained as much, and Boss indicated that they would contact me next week. Boss needs to get over my leaving, and that's fair, but our prior relationship seems solid. Boss will become a client again and maintain our previous relationship with the added benefit of the Boss being able to call on me for the other work I was doing, as well as the work I was doing for them before being hired. And I get to benefit from the rates I charge, which means that I will make more per hour than when I was an employee. Thanks, everyone. Back in the 2008 housing crisis, I did some work on the side for a customer's computer system. We got to talking, and he had a cheap one-bedroom duplex for rent that was too good to be true. It was a detached garage converted to a one-bedroom little apartment, and it was as plain and basic as they come. The actual house was being rented out, and he was charging the full amount price for the area, which was high, so the little garage conversation was pure profit for the landlord. I signed a lease for a fixed price that was almost half of what the going rate was for one-bedroom apartments in the area. It was no frills, plain as can be, with the cheapest appliances and amenities possible. Light fixtures from the early 80s, cheapest faucets and countertops money could buy. You get the visual. The elderly landlord and I had an arrangement. I could fix it up so long as I could keep the rent low, and he would allow me to pay for the remaining balance on upgrades when things broke. Years go by, and I'm still in this on-barrage conversation and making progress on updating the features. Kitchen faucet is gone. New fancy sprayer head faucet with a bar-style glass cleaner installed. Old toilet replaced with a water-saving tank and bidet installed. 80s lights are gone. LED smart home fixtures installed. Around 7-8 years go by, and my rent is still half of the normal going rate for the area, and my landlord is happy with our arrangement. Sadly, he has a heart attack, and surgery saves his life. He is no longer able to maintain his active lifestyle, and hands the reins of being a landlord to a property management company. This company is as shady and money-hungry as they come. They get a percentage of the monthly rent for their role in taking over the landlord's duties. They immediately hate me and my rental agreement from the start. The month they take over, my rent goes up the maximum limit of 10T plus 5, the cost of living increase for 1 year. I'm not happy with this, as this is a significant bump in my costs. I suck it up, but as a silent protest, I stopped making upgrades to the house that first year. The 12 months later, exactly, I get a notification that my rent will increase another 10 to plus 5 cost of living increase. This is yet another blow to my finances, but I can't really complain as my rent is still well below the average cost for the area. Another 12 months and another 10 plus 5 cost of living, followed by another the following year. This whole time I had been saving a good portion of my paychecks as a down payment for a house, but these rent hikes were hurting my ability to set aside money for this purpose. My landlord was not happy with the property management company he hired, but couldn't get out of his contract because they were doing maintenance and facility repairs like clockwork. COVID hits, and I had been in this place for 12 years by this point. My rent was still under the average for the area, but not by much. Seeing as this was now just a crappy one-bedroom apartment, I was looking for houses to buy to get me out of this rent gouging arrangement I was in. Right at the peak of the COVID scare in 2020, a pipe burst in the kitchen and floods the floors, ruining the crappy cabinets, the carpets, and the furniture I had nearby. I had renter's insurance that covered most of the costs to what I had lost. Not the nicest furniture, but my couch was a total loss, my desk, entertainment center, and my speaker were severely damaged. In comes property management to assess the repairs and gut out the damaged wood and carpets. I offer to pay for the upgraded wood and countertops as well as request hardwood floors. Nope. They deny my request. I offered to do the work myself as I'm fairly handy, again denied with an actual written letter stating I'm not to do any work or maintenance on the apartment. I contact my landlord who has his hands tied because this was the arrangement we had. I'm at a loss of what to do because this property management company is not setting me up with a temporary place to live, doing all the work while I'm working from home to watch my possession. There's a literal door-sized hole in my wall as they spent 2 weeks fixing all the damage. They throw out my upgraded faucet, which was undamaged and worked perfectly fine, the upgraded sink, the light fixtures, the tile work I had done, the bathroom faucet, which wasn't even part of the floor damage. They then removed an outlet, originally part of the apartment, to save on costs. I was pissed at them and complained via letters, via phone calls, and talking to the maintenance supervisor. It took 2 full months to do all the repairs, and at the end, they sent me a notice that my rent was going up due to some loophole in the neglect the apartment was in and not reported. I was done with this bullshit, and I pooled my resources, called in all the favors I could, and found the house I wanted. I gave 30-day notice to leave at the end of my lease, along with an invoice of all the repairs I made to the apartment over the 12 years I was there. I attached a copy of my original lease agreement, a copy of all photos I took of before and after repairs I made, a bill of the costs, and a request of a refund of the past 6 months of additional rent hike due to neglect like they stated in the letter. I had a running tally of with all the receipts, work performed, and the cost of not being allowed to live in a motel during the work being performed to over $9,700. At the same time, I submitted all this to the courts as I knew they would contest all of it. My landlord was on my side during the court hearing, giving testimony he in fact allowed me in the rental lease agreement that I could do my own repairs. I won within 4 hours and awarded $4,700. The judge removed all billable hours I included. Judge was harsh to the lawyer for the property management, saying his client must obey the law and put a tenant up for housing during construction. Nearly 4 years later, I finally got my lump sum, including penalties and late fees, which totaled up to $7,500. Sadly, my old landlord passed away and his properties passed to his son, who immediately fired the property management company sometime early last year. Enjoying the stories yet? If you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. I could barely believe what had just happened as I stood there, adrenaline still coursing through my veins. It was like something out of a movie, a ridiculous sequence of events that left me questioning the sanity of some people on the road. Let me tell you the full story, from start to finish. First off, let me introduce myself. I'm Alex, a regular guy with a passion for motorcycles. Riding has always been my escape, a way to clear my mind and enjoy the freedom of the open road. But today, that freedom was abruptly interrupted by none other than a Karen in a Range Rover. It was a long night at work, one of those shifts where time seems to stand still. By the time I left, the sun was already peeking over the horizon, and all I could think about was crashing into bed. I hopped on my trusty bike, revved the engine, and started the journey back home. Everything was going smoothly until I reached a particularly sharp turn. I signaled, checked my mirrors, and began the maneuver when suddenly, without warning, this Karen in her massive SUV decides she's going to make a right turn right in front of me. No signal, no courtesy, just a blatant disregard for anyone else on the road. The impact was jarring, sending me flying off my bike and onto the pavement. Adrenaline kicked in and I was on my feet before I even realized it. Anger surged through me as I saw her smug face behind the wheel as if she owned the road and everyone on it. I couldn't let it slide. Maybe it was the lack of sleep, maybe it was the shock of the collision, but something inside me snapped. I mounted my bike again and gave chase, determined to make her take responsibility for her reckless actions. Several blocks later, I caught up to her at a red light. She rolled down her window, and before I could say a word, she was already making excuses. "I'm late for my yoga class," she said, as if that justified nearly running me over. I tried to reason with her, to explain the danger she had put me in, but she wasn't having any of it. In a moment of sheer audacity, she accelerated and rammed my bike again, this time with even more force. That was it. I had had enough. I called 911, shaking with anger and disbelief as I recounted the events to the operator. They assured me that help was on the way, and I watched as Karen tried to make a getaway. But karma works in mysterious ways. Just a few blocks down, a police cruiser pulled her over. I couldn't help but smirk as I saw her being questioned by the officers. Hit and run, they called it, a serious offense that she couldn't talk her way out of. The cops were thorough, taking statements from both of us, assessing the damage to my bike and making sure justice was served. It turned out Karen had another yoga class scheduled later that day. Talk about misplaced priorities. In the end, she was charged with hit and run, a stain on her record that would hopefully make her think twice before endangering someone else's life. As for me, I was left with a mangled bike and a story that I would retell for years to come. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, both on the road and off. It's a constant reminder to stay vigilant, to stand up for yourself when necessary, and to always use your damn turn signals. As for Karen, well, she learned her lesson the hard way. And I rode off into the sunset, grateful to be alive and with a newfound appreciation for the unpredictability of life. I worked as a department manager in home electronics while I was going to college. I went on to get an engineering master's degree. I mention this because I am female and have worked in fields where people tend to expect to encounter males, especially in positions of authority. A guy was looking for an adapter for a device he was purchasing. For some reason, our buyers didn't stock this particular adapter. But I had the exact same device at my house and had been through the challenge of finding the very same adapter this dude needed. He brought a different adapter to the counter along with the device, and I mentioned the adapter wasn't compatible. He said I didn't know what I was talking about. I tried to explain I had the same device and had found the adapter at a different retailer up the street. But he interrupted and started yelling, calling me little girl, and demanded to see the manager. He said, and I do mean man, because I want to talk to the guy in charge. All this over a simple $5 adapter? I stayed calm because I had been yelled at many times by unruly customers. I found it was best to let them vent and not react. I said, I am the manager, and he went completely berserk at that, screaming with so much rage he looked like every blood vessel in his neck was going to rupture. He yelled that I was lying and called me every insulting female term in the book. A male employee was making his way toward the commotion at this point, and when the customer saw him, he yelled, "You need to stop hiring stupid witches." She doesn't know what she's talking about. She said this adapter won't work for this. The employee who approached me was on my team and was trained by me. He said, "Sir, this is our manager. She's very knowledgeable. If she says it's not compatible, then it's not compatible." I had to strongly school my expression to not smirk or laugh at that point. The dude had been relatively calm talking to my team member and instantly flipped back to full-on volcano when he turned to me. I simply let him yell and run up his item. He yelled for another 20 seconds or so before realizing I was waiting for him to pay. By this point, about 10 employees were standing there. He called me several more foul names as I gave him his receipt and pointed to the return policy, just in case it didn't work out for him. 45 minutes later, a woman came in with the adapter, receipt, and ripped-up packaging. She said she needed to return the item. She had a very sheepish expression. I said I needed to try to fix the packaging because the return policy, as explained on the receipt, required the packaging be intact. She said, "I'm sorry. My husband bought this, and I'm guessing you dealt with him. I apologize for how he treated you." She was very soft-spoken, and all I could imagine was how this dude probably treated her. I had a lot of sympathy for her and appreciated her courage to apologize. I said I would fix the packaging, and I offered to call the other store that did sell the adapter to see if they had it in stock. She thanked me about 20 times after I called and had them put one on hold for her. She left with a smile and picked up the adapter. I saw that couple every now and then after that. The man would never come to the counter. He would just sneer at me from 10 feet away while I helped his wife or take his wife by the elbow to someone else to be rung up. The morale of the story, as far as I see it, even if a customer is correct about something, yelling never fixes the problem. It's just as easy to speak politely and firmly to ask for what you want. Why is that so hard for so many people? I imagine jerks like this dude had parents who would give them anything they wanted to stop their 2-year-old tantrums, and they just never outgrew it. And the rest of the world pays the price. There are too many babies going around in adult-sized bodies. So this morning I was editing the blog that I recently just posted when my mother barged into the room and screamed me and my sister to wake up. Like I said before, she wakes me up with the rest of the family so we can get up and leave the house because I'm not allowed to be in a house unless she's there. The first thing she asked me is how I got in a house. She watched her video footage and saw me unlocking the door and going in to get my phone and then exiting. I locked the door and left the house, knowing that I'd still be stuck there for hours in rainy weather. She was more than upset. She started belittling me and telling me that I'm not allowed in her damn house unless she's there to supervise me. She asked me how I got the key, and my sister spoke up saying she gave it to me. My mom said that I need to never go to my sister's school and ask for anything, and that she's taking me off the emergency contacts list for my sisters at their school. She took my sister's security passcode off the security system dashboard so she can't enter into the house. She told my sister that for helping me, she's going to have to stay on a porch until she gets home with me. My sister said she's calling keeps if she gets home and she's not able to enter the house, and she's calling her father. My sisters can actually go with their dad. He has joint custody, and honestly, if anything went down, I would prefer them be with their dad's side anyway, because they have money. They'll be well taken care of. Their family is normally functioning, unlike my mom's side. Me, on the other hand, she said when she gets home, I'm getting dropped off at the shelter. I'm still sitting out here in the park by myself, no food, water, no access to bathrooms, and not allowed to sit on her porch because I run her security camera batteries down, and I look stupid to her neighbors even though I told her I have a job. She doesn't care. Before I got here, she made me record a verbal contract of her and me agreeing to her allow me stay here, and then when I get a job, I start taking care of myself. I didn't get it until yesterday, and I was still fending for myself. She's still being a total jerk. I have an aunt that's willing to take me in. I called her early this morning first thing after the argument and explained the situation, but I haven't gone into detail about what's going on behind closed doors. I told her about the food and living me out for hours thing. She doesn't know about a lot of things. A lot of things that I've never told another soul. One particular thing is something I don't want to because I don't want weirdos to start messaging me and asking for weird crap. I don't know if this is allowed here, but I'll speak on it vaguely because I feel like it's important to the story. I used to work for the most successful virtual streaming site on the internet. The money was amazing. I made over $1,000 my first day in 4 hours. When I got my first check, it was over $6,000. The first day I did it, and I made $1,000. I told my mom immediately. I told her how much I made. She was intrigued. She was also jealous. She would look at me very disgustingly, but always ask about my paycheck. When is your check coming? Constantly. I didn't get my check because it kept getting delayed. She kicked me out before it could even get mailed. So I was in another state while my check was being sent to her house. My mom told me she arranged a date for my grandmother to drive me to meet her halfway to pick up my check. Again, my grandma lived in a different state. Before that date came, she called and told me she lost my check. Magically, the day before the day I was supposed to pick it up, she lost my check. I knew then and there my mom was a jealous, lying witch. I cried so damn hard. For hours. That was my first time making money for myself or even seeing myself have a lump sum of money, which $6,000 might seem like nothing to a certain group of people, but to me that was life-changing. The day she told me she finally found it because a coworker found it in her truck, called her, and told her to come pick it up. Sure, witch. I never believed her, but as soon as I got my check, I started spending. I bought an iPhone, new clothes, hygiene products, hair products, all the things I didn't have to take care of myself with before I left her house. I know now that it was irresponsible. I had been sheltered all my life up until this point. Spending the money made me feel good about myself and my situation. I forgot about the detrimental situation I was in when I was online shopping. I was also Dr. Dashing a lot. My grandma used to beg me to buy her things and to buy her food. I would share food with everyone in the house, but I only bought things for myself because I am my top priority. I'm the one that's broke without a job that's going to house. I don't need to buy you a pack of panties. That's your job. I'm grown, and I'm buying my own panties, and no one else's. You don't even know your measurements, lady. She invaded my privacy a lot, and every time I got a new package, she'd follow me to the room and sit down to watch me open it. She would follow behind me and ask what I had, what it was, how much I bought it for. I would go in my room and lock the door. That's when she started resenting me. She started threatening to take her room back. Her and my aunt would beg for things constantly. I didn't have any socks when I got there, so I bought myself some cute cabin socks. My aunt would beg for my socks after I explained that those were my only socks. I just want one pair. I told her no profusely. My aunt would ask me to do her feet with the nail polish that I just bought before I even got to open it and use it for myself. They had no problem, but when I didn't give it to them, they were upset with me. I was feeding everyone in the house, bought lots of food. Then my money started drying up, and I started to realize that I had to be responsible and buy groceries for myself. I would buy lots of pasta and yogurt and fruit. My family is a poor, black, uneducated family in the South. They're scared of things they don't understand and associate them with whiteness to belittle it and make themselves feel better. I would be called white for eating tortellini pasta, for eating strawberry yogurt, eating whole wheat bread instead of Wonder Bread, drinking water instead of Kool-Aid, wearing my pants low-waisted because I have a long torso and wide hips. I can't really wear it any other way. For doing my skincare, for not talking with the stereotypical Memphis accent and using a wide vocabulary. My family called me white when I wasn't doing things that weren't hood enough for them. My own family called me white and would be doing things that weren't hood enough for them. They were that uneducated. It made being there less tolerable day by day. I want to go back in time and reverse it, but I can't. My money is gone. I have $50 to my name right now. When I got to my grandma's house, I got a random call from my mom. I was like, hello. She asked me, what's the site? I said, what are you talking about? She said, the site you stream on. I had to pause and mute myself to sit there and laugh. She talked so much crap about me being in that line of work and then randomly called me on the phone to do it herself. She talks about herself and makes other people think that she's a saint, she's innocent, and I'm some nasty, perverted demon. She tells all her friends really messed up crap about me. That's not true and completely biased. She does the same exact thing. I sent her the link to the least lucrative site I could think of because I needed help with my FAFSA, and I didn't want her declining helping me when I needed it. So I gave her a site. She told me she's done it over the phone, but I have screenshots of her asking me about it. She thought she was slick by deleting the messages immediately after sending them, but I'm quicker. That's right, folks. Kick your daughter out for being a witch, but ask her for details on doing the same thing. That's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the hypocrisy of my mother. I've never told anyone and no one knows she does it. That will be changing today because today she decided that she wanted to kick me out and take me to a shelter. Well, guess what? If you're going to screw me over, I'm going to screw you over too. I'm airing her crap out completely. I think I'm going to tell my aunt everything. She loves to humiliate me, so we'll see how fun it is watching her get a taste of her own medicine. I'm tired of her lying and bullcrapping on my name. I'm fresh out of high school. I know nothing. I have nothing. Why must you do this to me? Make me feel as if I'm some bastard stepchild. Like I'm not worthy of a warm place to be some food in my stomach water, a place to crap and piss and change my tampon. Feeding me scraps like I'm some kind of damn dog. You have to be really mental to do some crap like that. You invited me here knowing I didn't have anything to my name and promised to take care of me up until I got a job, but did you do that? No, you did not. She effing disgusts me in every way. She talked so much crap to me this morning while I was leaving, and my sisters were all fed up. My aunt's coming to get me after she gets off of work at 2 p.m. My sister left me the keys to the house secretly so I can get my things from the house, and I'll leave her keys in her bedroom. That'll be the last time I come to this damn house. My mother is sick, just like her mom. I didn't realize that my mom was not a great person until yesterday, but I didn't realize that my grandma wasn't a great person until I went to live with her. I always thought of her with high regard, despite not really understanding that I didn't really know her. Because you know the title of grandmother is something you hold very dearly, you think of them highly. My grandma's lying grimy witch, and both of them deserve each other. Worst mothers ever. They both belong in an insane asylum. I don't know if I should call the cops on my mom or not. She's terrified the police. I think she knows that if I call them, they'll be up her ass in a matter of seconds after I explain to them what's been going on. Especially with her younger children. That's very illegal. You know, the best part is we don't even need to record her because she does it herself. She has cameras all over the damn place documenting every crappy thing she says and does and reiterates. It's beautiful. I can't wait to blow up in her face. I long for the day I see that witch in handcuffs, I swear. Now, I'm not sure on details regarding if she's done anything illegal enough to be sent to jail. But if anybody knows, please let me know. Can she go to jail for this crap? Because if she can, I'm going to try to make it happen. I think some jail time will do her good. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share your own experiences, opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more epic tales.